Or Zera Shimshon on Parshas Noach. So the Zera Shimshon quotes an interesting Zohar on this week's Parsha that says that Noach did not daven for the other inhabitants of the earth, meaning that Noach was a righteous person, and there were people around him that weren't so righteous, and he didn't daven that they changed their behavior, and he didn't daven that Hashem protect them. Now, this is something that's very interesting because we usually look at Noach as tzaddik, as somebody who was a righteous person. And it's almost unfathomable for us to believe that somebody who is a righteous person wouldn't be davening for the welfare of the entire earth. So what is going on over here? So to illustrate the answer of the Zera Shimshon, I want to bring down a famous story that's quoted. There was once a great rabbi, his name was the Baba Sali, and there was a man who would go and visit him. And when he would go and visit him, and he'd ask for a bracha, for blessings, and he would get the blessings, and then usually he would have financial success in his business. And then he would go and he'd make donations and give charity. And he kept doing this. He would go to the Baba Sali, get a bracha, and then it would all work out, and his business would do well, and he kept doing it over and over and over again. And then one day, he came to see the Baba Sali, and the Baba Sali said, "Get out now. Leave. I don't want you to stay here 1 second. Go." And the man was like taken aback, and he was scared, and he was so embarrassed. He's like, "Rabbi, what's going on? Why are you saying this to me?" And the Baba Sali said, "No, just leave. Go. I don't want to talk to you. Get out." And the man was so embarrassed. Months went by, and he wanted to visit the Baba Sali again. He wanted to get clarity about what had just happened. And the Baba Sali ended up telling him that when you came in to see me that day, I saw the Malach HaMaves standing next to you. I saw the angel of death standing next to you. And so I realized that your time to come was here. And so you know what I said? I said that the Gemara says that when a person is embarrassed, it's as if they've died. So I hoped that perhaps by me telling you and screaming at you to get out, that would fulfill, that would be a kiyum of death for you. That would count as if you died. The embarrassment that you suffered at that moment would be so bad, it would be as if you died, and Hashem would let that count for you as if you had died and not actually kill you in reality. And look, you're still alive, and I don't see the angel of death next to you. So why am I bringing down this story? Because the story teaches us that when we deal with tzaddikim and holy people, and we see them do things that to us might be peculiar, you have to say, no, he's a tzaddik, and it's only peculiar because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what he's exactly intending. But if I would have known, I would not have judged him unfavorably. So when we deal with tzaddikim, when they do stuff that seems to us to be off, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. And there were very few people in this world that we could say were greater than Noach. So when Noach didn't daven for the people of his generation, you shouldn't think that it's because Noach was a selfish person, the Zera Shimshon says. So why didn't he, though? So, for example, by Moshe Rabbeinu, when the Jews sinned at the Egel Azav, at the golden calf, Moshe Rabbeinu invokes the merit of our patriarchs, just like we do in Shmona Esrei. Every day when we daven the Amidah, we say, Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, God of our forefather Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Meaning we don't just go straight up to Hashem and start davening. No, we say, Hashem, in the merit of my ancestors who you love, please let me now ask you for some things and daven to you. Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest human being of all time, did the exact same thing. Before he prayed that God not destroy the Jewish people because they had just sinned by the golden calf, he invoked the merit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He didn't invoke his own merit, even though he was probably the greatest human being of all time. He didn't say, well, God, in my merit, please listen to my prayer. No, he said, in the merit of our ancestors. That is how a humble person is supposed to approach Hashem. But the problem was that Noach didn't have that. Noach is before Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And the people who came before Noach, they are the people that led to the destruction of the world. They're the ones who caused the flood. So he didn't have the righteous ancestors of people that he could invoke. So the only person's merit that he could, in theory, invoke when davening for Hashem to save the world would be his own merit. And he didn't feel, because he was such a high-level person, he was an humble person, that would be appropriate. He's not going to invoke his own merit because he knows that that would be considered selfish and that he felt like he wasn't worthy of doing that. So now that we see that when Noach didn't daven for the people, he wasn't being selfish. It was the complete opposite of selfishness. Something that if we didn't have the Zera and the Zera Shimshon to tell us what was going on, we might judge Noach favorably. But now what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to take a lesson from this case by Noach and realize that his intentions really were l'shem shamayim, and apply that in our lives when we deal with tzaddikim, and trust their judgment when they tell us what to do, or when we see them do something kind of interesting. We have to trust their judgment. Have a great Shabbos.